Good morning. I wasn't gonna post a video or say anything about this event, just because I feel like I've already said whatever I could possibly say in regards to any of the previous events similar to this that transpired. This is the 18th one this year. We're only in February. Come on. Um, but first, my condolences go out to the whole Parkland, Florida community that was rocked by this devastating tragedy. And I really want to say that I am so proud of the individuals that have come forward and talked about this tragedy with such compassion and depth and strength. Some of these kids just have absolutely struck an absolute nerve in my heart because nobody that young should have to try to fathom any of what has transpired. Now, there's going to be a lot of debate about what is going to go forward from here, and a big part of the reason that I wanted to say a few things about what's on my mind about it is because, for one, it does affect me. And I do have to admit, I've been a little bit desensitized over the last good number of shootings just because it just seems so commonplace now, and I can't really explain why this one hit me so hard. Sorry. But it truly has, and it became a little bit personal to me today. I received a message in my inbox from a former coworker who's going to remain anonymous. And as many of you know, I'm very open about my mental illness. So, and I invite everybody to have a good conversation about this. So, I'm going to read what this former coworker, has written to me, and I'm trying to process this with the idea of good intention. However, there's a reason why I feel the way that I feel about this. So the email says, and I quote, "Hi Chad, I hope that you are well and know that if you need help that you can get it. I would hate to see you on the news for shooting up and killing a bunch of people." Like I said, I'm pretty sure the good intention was there. However, this is sparking a little bit more of a debate in my head as far as what's actually transpiring with what this situation has brought about, and many other before it, and far too many at that. Naturally, I've seen so many posts about people being afraid that their guns are going to get taken away, and your guns are not going to get taken away. And in fact, your guns have a lot more protective rights than a lot of our American citizens do, and that's just a plain fact. It's sad. The political climate that we live in now has seen to that quite abundantly, and it's sad and disgusting, actually. I mean, I know a lot of people who have guns, who proudly have guns, for very good reasons, and a majority of them, I believe, are responsible enough individuals to handle guns. So I don't want you to think I'm an anti-gun person. Reform definitely is needed, and also reform for mental health. The mental health system is a very imperfect system, and there's a lot that we can do to reform that, as well as gun reform. And there was so much talk about this Nicholas Cruz and these warning signs that he put up on social media and whatnot. And my thing about that is, it's obviously he's a very troubled individual, and he should have received some sort of treatment or help at some point in time in his life. It didn't happen. We don't know why. We can't assume that it was just a broken system. However, the system is very broken. But with warning signs like that, how is something not already being done? I mean, we sit there and we cry out on social media for a woman who is feeding bleach to her child because she read it was okay to do that based on an internet recipe for autism. I mean, these are the kind of things that we're talking about right now, you know. Um, and a lot of what my fear about this whole transaction of terror and absolute disgust is that it's going to be more of a focus on mental health than it is gun reform. And actually, it should be both. And Kitten, I'm sorry, but this coffee is not for you. Sorry. And it should be about both. Um, and I know a lot of people have voiced that trying to reform guns and ammunition and stuff like that is kind of a moot point because there's so much political nastiness tied into it, and maybe that could be the case, and you know that probably is the case as well with mental health reform. It's sad that we all can't take a look at these tragedies and come together and work something out, you know, even if it's just a few steps at a time, just to find something that might prevent somebody who is mentally ill from getting a hold of a gun and shooting up a bunch of people. I mean, it's I just can't understand for the life of me why this is so difficult to tackle. I mean, to a degree, I get it. I get it. You know, there's lots of, you know, ifs, ands, and buts and all that kind of stuff involved in both aspects. However, for as far as gun reform, make it almost impossible for a normal sane person to get one. I mean, I mean, if somebody really needs a gun, let them jump through all the hoops and hurdles to get it, and then they can proudly carry it. And maybe, you know, that maybe that is a step. You know, as far as mental health reform, start making it easier for people with mental illness to get help. You know, to be able to acquire some assistance instead of, you know, it taking, you know, massive amounts of money or, you know, insurance to even be seen about mental illness. I mean, I've gone through this struggle myself. Um, and it's tough all the way around. I just don't understand why it has to be so tough. The resources are there, um, and there are clearly people who need it. So I don't want to make this long-winded, but I don't want to see this tragedy or any future tragedy being pigeonholed into a mental health issue when it is clearly a mental health and gun reform issue. Um, and I mean, my friends, feel free to debate what you think. Obviously, I'm not going to stop you. Just try to be courteous and respectful of other people's opinions when you do. Um, and as always, love and light to you all. I say that a lot in my posts and my videos, and I believe every day that if you project love and light out into the world, that it gets reciprocated and it's like a ripple effect, and I want to continue that, and especially to those in Parkland, Florida. My thoughts are with you and with this entire country, because we have a lot of work ahead of us. And in contacting your mayors, your governors, your senators, the president is not a moot point. Do it. I'm actually going to be constructing a very nicely worded letter that I'm going to shoot out to the mayors of both South Bend and Kalamazoo, to the governors of both Indiana and Michigan, and I'm going to go forward from there, because voices need to be heard before they're silenced.